Now you have this big giant buck coming out to a food source every afternoon. Maybe you see him, maybe you have trail cam pictures of him, maybe you just know he did that last year and he made it through the season, and you know he's probably around, and you think you know where he's bedding. And that's the big question. You don't know exactly where he's bedding a lot of times because we don't have that opportunity to go in and look at him. And so I love hunting bedding areas. I talk about that all the time. Probably 70% of my 4-year-old and older bucks have been shot in and around a bedding area. And when I say I'm hunting a bedding area, I'm off to the side, for example. This, for example, is the bedding area. I don't care if that buck is bedded 250 yards that way, 75 yards that way, 100 yards that way, over on this point over here. This is the bedding area, and I'm gonna hunt to the outside. And so what's really cool about a spot like this is because of the elevation change, we can blow our scent off and not worry about hunting in here in the morning because we just blow our scent off. And it's a non-factor, our scent, our downwind scent. Now, if this is all open hardwoods here, if I had a flatland parcel, we'd have our bedding area this side, open hardwoods over there, and that's where I'd blow my scent, out into the open hardwoods. In that case, and even in here, I don't want to get in here too early. I want to get in here just in time, right before it's bow shooting light, because I want to be able to blow my scent and have it maintained by my thermals. At the same time, even if it was flat and I blow my scent into open hardwoods, I don't want a deer to get downwind of me before it gets daylight. So if I'm sitting there an hour and a half before daylight, that's why people say, you know, what's the best time to go into a morning stand? There's no set time. It's when the deer aren't there. And so if I'm blowing it off a cliff or into a lake, a pond, I can get there as early as I want because I'm not going to have deer downwind of me. But if I'm blowing it into an area where deer could be there before daylight, you got to be very careful not to get there too early, because every minute that passes before daylight, you have an opportunity to spook deer. That's kind of the setup. You know, sitting on the outside. If I'm on the outside and not going right in the middle over here, then I don't leave scent in the middle. I don't potentially spook deer getting out of the stand, and I live to hunt another day. The stand is valuable for another day. I can hunt it over and over again, meaning once a week, once every other, twice a week. And I can get in here and hunt this, and if I'm staying to the outside, I'm hunting a pretty good funnel. We have this, there's a bunch of aspen trees that we cut that way, a bunch this way, and we left about a 20-yard gap. They come through, they hit this mock scrape, they come through here. So it's all set up for that, but I want to minimize my actual hunting pressure in this location. That's about how to set up, where the stand location is in relation to this bedding area. I want to talk about when. And I think a lot of people think they know that this buck is in here, and they want to go in all for broke and take a chance. Well, a lot of times in the early season, October lull period before the rut, these deer that are coming in here are in here well before daylight. Those big bucks don't move much during the summer, and they're basically back in their bedding areas well before daylight a lot of the time. And you try to beat them in there, it's really hard. And again, if they're downwind of you and you go in too early, then you blow it out too. So you really want to preserve this. So what I find in a true morning stand, is that the longer you let it go into the season, the more it heats up. Because as hunting pressure is applied by your neighbors and yourself and other locations, then this seems to get better and better and better. So I wait when the conditions are perfect. Those perfect conditions of yielded bucks, I call them 40% sits, 50% sips, or if there's a mature buck back here, half the time you get them. Because once you go in during the pre-rut, in the rut, he's moving all over the place in here, and I love the pre-rut. Because the pre-rut, he's in that defined pattern still of what he's doing in October. Pre-rut, those big bucks will breed 1 or 2 does. They only breed a handful of does throughout the entire rut. The first couple are easy because they have those does in their location. They can easily find one. But by the time they get to that third doe they want to breed, like a week into the rut, they might have to move around a little bit. And that's when it becomes a little bit less predictable. Not saying you can't shoot them in a bedding area like this. It's just that he might be in another bedding area. He might be all the way across the property on someone else's land. And so what I'm looking for is when you get into that pre-rut around here, southeast Minnesota, southwest Wisconsin, southern Michigan, over to southern New York, northern Pennsylvania, you get into that time frame where it's the 20th of October, 22nd, 24th, and you get that first major cold front. Why a cold front? Because that puts deer on their feet. The bigger the cold front, the more extreme the weather was to drop that temperature. It's that drop in temperature, not the overall temperature. It doesn't matter if you just drop from 80 to 60 degrees for daytime highs or from 60 to 40. It's a great time to hunt because it was very volatile to get it to that temperature. A lot of times people focus on that bottom line temperature, what moves deer, when it's the change in temperature that actually moves deer. So you have to look backwards to forecast forward and know when deer are going to be on their feet. The more extreme the weather, the more they're missing feedings, the more they're stressed, the more they have to burn energy to fight off the cold. And so in 3 ways, misfeeding, stress, and then also getting colder and having to burn energy, they're depleting calories, so they need to replace that. The bigger the front, the more they move post-front. So that's what I look for. And it's interesting, we can always find out when the pre-rut's beginning around that time, and it'll be on those cold front mornings when bucks start hitting our water holes at 11 a.m., at 1 in the afternoon. Because now that they're more active, even though they might not leave this bedding area, they're doing a bunch of figure S's and moving all over through here, chasing little bucks, going up and sniffing does, making rubs and scrapes. They might not ever leave this 5 acres right here, but they put on a mile or a couple miles in here during the day in that one spot. That's when I want to be in this stand. I want to be able to get in here, manage my scent in the downwind, whether you're getting here early and your scent's completely blocked in the downwind. Maybe deer can be downwind of you, either the thermals haven't risen or it's open hardwoods they could cross through, open horse pasture, whatever it might be, where they're not going to be during the daylight, or you can control your scent during the daylight. So I want to get into that stand just in time. If we were sitting on the edge of an ag field, on the edge of a buck bedding area, which is difficult, most times bucks aren't bedding right next to the ag, then maybe I'd use a post-daybreak stand entrance where I'd come into that bedding area and get in. But it's the same conditions. Or even the post-daybreak, I'm coming through the open fields when I see no deer, I'm getting into a stand looking at a bedding area, blowing my scent out into the field, but I'm doing it during pre-rut, olive rut, post-rut, when those big boys are still cruising all over the place. And that's my favorite time to hunt a bedding area. Now, there are exceptions. I'll be right back, but I'm excited to announce a speaking event. I don't speak a lot, don't get out much, but August 18th, this Sunday, in Carson City, Michigan, at Harvey's Milling. The information is in the description. It's at 2 o'clock, but you need to RSVP. So check out the information, call that number, you can sign up. We already have well over 100 people attending, and a special thank you for you Michigan folks. This is where my roots began with WHS, and I can't wait to thank you and hopefully see you there. Now back to the video. I'll see long movements where there might be big open hardwoods, deer feeding in distant ag fields. That's where the food source is, so they're out there every single night. They're moving through those big open hardwoods to get back to actual thick cover that might be a half mile or more off the ag fields. In that case, you can get into those open hardwoods, find a good stand of acorns, and you're watching those acorns coming down, you're getting in position, you're blowing your scent to a non-acorn area, bedding area off to the side, ag fields over there, you're blowing your scent this way, quarter mile off the fields, and you're waiting for those deer to come through. I don't mind that, but again, I'm not sitting right at the bedding area in that case. I'm watching that long transition line in the morning. That's an opportunity. Also, I always have to consider public land. Maybe you do have a pinpoint spot where a buck is bedding because it's a small island to cover, or an island in a swamp, whatever it might be. You're trying to beat other hunters to that spot. You're hoping no one else has figured out that pattern. You're getting in there and waiting for them to come into that exact location and trying to shoot them, and you have to really move on them quickly. I wouldn't even worry about the weather then in that case. I'm out there open and morning. But bottom line is, if I have a choice, I'm waiting to hunt these bedding areas until the time is perfect during that pre-rut. I'd say that pre-rut, for example, down in Kansas, maybe Tennessee, over to Oklahoma, that's going to be more like November 1st. Southern Ohio we used to hunt, that was more November 1st as opposed to October 24th. It was about a week later. So always consider the timing of that peak rut. When you get over to New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware over there, I would say that that's more of a November 1st time frame, end of October for that, as opposed to October 22nd. Look for that weather change, get out there on the backside in the morning, that time of year, and boy, that's where dreams are made of. That's where a lot of my dreams have been made. I probably shot 25 bucks like that in and around bedding areas in the morning. They were in that 4-year-old age class and older. And really, that's an incredible time to go take a seat A lot of my hunts are planned around that. They're planned around stands like this location. And you know, this is such a good spot here. I can't say I went hunting here in the afternoon, evening, because if I know these deer are bedded back here, I have a little wind on my side, I know there's not much down this way, then I can come in with that perfect wind in the afternoon, take a chance I'm not going to spook anything. I'll go in early, throw my scent down that way. I might take a chance in the afternoon, evening, but boy, I really have to have some strong indication that, you know, maybe that was a surprise that, man, I need to get in there. This is what I saw in the morning. I was in another stand or something, and I need to get in there in the afternoon to take a seat. Last year I saw a bow on this scrape right here in the morning. Ended up shooting them about 300-400 yards away from here in the afternoon. But I'll take a chance on stands in the afternoon by a bedding area. But boy, my access has to be perfect. I got to make sure I don't spook deer, because those big bucks move about 3 times more in the morning hours. So bedding area stands are made for mornings. They're made for mornings during the pre-rut, rut, post-rut, heck, even opening day of gun season too. Definitely the second rut a month after your primary rut begins, which is about a month from November 1st for us, so right around December 1st. But that's what these bedding area stands are made for. They're made for making your dreams come reality on a big old mature buck. And I hope you can take advantage of a true bedding area stand and hit it at the right time, so you don't spoil it out before the good time actually comes throughout the season this fall. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching the video. I appreciate you watching the videos. We have over 600 articles on whitetailhabitatsolutions.com. It's all free. And I also appreciate those of you that check out our books. I have 5 books starting from 2012. We have web classes on the site, whitetailhabitatsolutions.com. Check out Pure Wildlife Blends. I really appreciate you guys that have already purchased our seed. We've had thousands of people. We've shipped to 48 states. We have digital land management through whitetailstrategy.com. That's taking all these ideas and concepts I put in the YouTube videos and digitally transforming your land for you. And then finally, we have our clients and client visits. We'll visit over 300 clients as a group this year. We visit anywhere in the country. Boots on the ground is always the best, but we have a lot of ways to help you, from free to client visits and all in between. Check us out again, whitetailhabitatsolutions.com, Pure Wildlife Blends, and whitetailstrategy.com.